Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Super Movie Brothers, episode 125. I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
Don't say another word, Jay, because
it's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry.
What you been up to this week, man?
Well, I actually had to use some blowfish hardcore on Saturday. I went to a wine party my cousin threw, and it was one of those fun little, middle-aged, all-married couples at a house.
Wine hangovers are the fucking worst.
Dude, I haven't had a wine hangover like that in a long time.
It's all the sugar, man. The wine is really sugary, and it really wreaks havoc on your fucking kidneys and your fucking liver. And
holy shit.
Yeah, and like your
I mean, it's great at night. It's fun.
Oh, it's great. Because wine gives you such
warm, fuzzy feeling.
Right. It gives you you feel so touchy. You feel so loose. You feel so into yourself. You're just you want to rub your nipples a little bit when you're drinking wine.
And according to the husbands at the party, some of their wives get extra frisky. They know if their wife is choosing to drink wine that night, they're getting lucky that night.
It's 100% true.
And I'm like, well, all right,
especially a nice dark red wine. You can just watch a woman's face and she'll drink a couple, my wife for example, just drink 1, 2, and then before you know it's just rubbing their hands on their leg and stuff. They start getting fidgety, and then you're just oh yeah, I want to get some. I'm gonna stop drinking so I don't get wine dick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's us guys. You got to stick with the Coors Lights. The pissy, watery beers, so you don't get limp dick.
Yeah, well, that's just hydration, That's just staying hydrated, like any good athlete would.
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna put it in for the long haul because she's gonna want the long haul that night.
So was that all you did this week, other than when me and you met up on Sunday, which we'll talk about in a minute here?
Yeah. So pretty much, I definitely had to use some double dose of blowfish that next day because it was epic, and I couldn't eat the next day until the afternoon.
So how I felt after Friendsgiving.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just drank way too much because I realized I wasn't gonna let my homemade cocktails go to waste. So
I didn't. Really
I drank them.
Dinner. It was all like picking food. It was like a couple chicken nuggets just all went down.
Did they have those little wieners wrapped in pastry? Because I fucking love those.
And another year they did.
We had those at our Friendsgiving, Jay.
Oh,
they were gone pretty quick.
That's true.
Everyone loves little wieners, little schwanzes.
There was pizza, but I had a slice.
All right.
But it was not enough because the whole rest of the night, 5 hours. Actually, I'm sorry. That was more like 7 hours.
Okay.
I was there 7 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, too long. Way too long.
Way too long. Yeah. You outstayed your welcome is probably what happened. And you didn't leave when you should have. Like you always do here.
Exactly. No, but honestly,
at least according to my wife, not me. I love having you here.
I was not even the last person to leave, too. There was 3 other married couples that were like, "Why are you leaving?" I'm like, and I had work 10 o'clock the next day. And
do you think they were trying to rope you into a threesome?
It would have been a sevensome.
We're gonna have an orgy.
Ew!
Would you have been in the middle, or were you just been waiting on the sidelines where you get tagged in?
Would you,
jump in the dog pile?
It wouldn't have been the weirdest thing I've ever done.
Just another sausage for the bukkake.
Oh my god.
So for me this week, all I did was on Saturday I did Christmas decorations. You know what's super fun? And I think I did the same thing last year. Hanging all the Christmas lights, going to plug them in, and realizing I left the male end on the opposite side of the house, and I need the male end to be on the other side of the house. Take down all the lights. Let's
Did you check that they worked?
Yeah, I checked that they all worked before I hung them up, but I hung them up backwards.
You know what Preston and Steve said today? They just now throw them out after every year instead of like having the trouble of
we did
storing and cross your fingers and hope that it works the next year.
Right. We just well, it depends. If you have like the house next door does one of those fucking massive setups and whatever, good on them. I don't do that. I just hang like a row of lights and I'm like, there you go. I'm celebrating the holiday. Fuck you. My heart will grow 3 times larger if you make me believe in Christmas. I don't care. Yeah. But I just hang like a string of lights. I put up like a couple inflatable things, a husky for Luca, an Olaf for Logan, who loves Frozen still after 3 years, and
God bless it.
And my little fox. Like, I love that little fox guy that I put out there. So
I like foxes.
Yeah. So I put those out, and like, that's it. Like, we don't get crazy. Like, a couple bows on the window, lights here or there, whatever. But it's just, I hate hanging Christmas lights. But this year, like, we broke out the Christmas lights from last year. I plugged them in, and I was like, well, half of this string doesn't work. You know, all of that string's out, but these 2 strings are fine. So I went to Lauren. I was like, all right, well, I got to go buy 4 more strings of lights. And she's like, so there's only 2 strings that work? And I was like, yeah. She goes, just buy all of them. Throw them all out. Because who knows how long they're going to be working. These lights that we were using were from my parents, and my parents probably used them for like 8 or 10 years before I had them. So we're like, yeah, all right, let's just go get new lights. And then I went to go get new lights, and I was like, all right, I'm probably going to be dropping like $70-$80 on lights, and I think that's stupid, but whatever. And then I go in, and I was like, oh, they're like $6.99 for like a row of lights. I think I spent like $30 to like light the house. I was like, that's fine. This is fine. I'm good with this. Like $30. Yeah, that's not bad. So I agree with Preston and Steve. Throw them out. But I hate decorating for Christmas. I don't know what it is. Like, Lauren loves Christmas. Like, Lauren has been, it's the Christmas season. I get it. She put the Christmas tree up the right after Friendsgiving, like the Monday after Friendsgiving.
Well, I can't even say it's a chick thing because my uncle literally turns his house into like a fucking
but like when we get into Lauren's car, like when we drove on Sunday night to go to New Hope, which we'll talk about in a second here, but she had Christmas music on. I wanted to change it, and she's like, no, I listen to Christmas music all December. And it's like, I hate this.
I know,
like, I fucking hate this. Like, I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's like, people eat, people drink, people have fun, you get together with people. Like, Christmas, I know
it's my number 1 holiday.
I know you do like the same thing for Christmas, but there's such like, I don't know, anxiety that comes with it, because it's like, did I get this person a gift? Have I gotten all of this? Do I have enough money? Like, can I pay my bills? Can I feed myself this month? Sure. Or do the kids need more toys?
It's same thing. It's holidays. Hanukkah, same thing.
It's so stressful. I hate it.
Am I going to have a girlfriend over the holidays?
You never want a girlfriend over the holidays.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
Never start a new relationship.
Can I maneuver myself to not have one and then get one after New Year's so I can spend the rest of
if it's October, If it's October to after the holidays, you don't want to get a girlfriend. You want to wait until January 2nd to get them. Or if you have them in September, but you're not all about them, leave them in November. just before Thanksgiving, so their family can pick up the pieces.
Dave has thought about this way too much.
I have done it before. Thought about it, motherfucker. I have done it. I have done it.
Oh, fuck.
It's something my dad told me when I was very young. Son, never start dating them before their birthday, before Valentine's Day, or before the holidays.
I kind of did it too before the girl's birthday. Now, I had a month. It wasn't like right before her birthday, but I had a month.
You're an evil man.
I had a month. There's a buffer time, but I knew it was a decision that had to be made.
Yeah,
and I had to make it.
300.
I just did it a little earlier.
$300 on a diamond tennis bracelet, or exactly. Just dump this bitch that I know I'm not going to have anything to do with after this. Dump the young lady.
Yes. Yes.
Just dump the young lady.
Because also,
sorry, I shouldn't have said bitch.
And
well, for Jay, he may have been dating a female dog. We don't know. Could have been bestiality. Who cares?
But
Who knows?
But to be honest, like, her birthday gifts for me was really good. Like, personal, like, not like expensive shit, but like, just like, she made like a mix CD for my drive up to her, and stuff like that.
Wow, it's funny that you said mix CD, because when we talk about like what I watched this week, I watched Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which is all about a dude who
Really?
made like, you know,
I think I said that before.
yeah.
I really need to rewatch that.
Getting one of Michael Cera's mixtapes that mix CDs that he makes is Getting Closer to Closure Volume 12. He just makes these mixed CDs.
Adorable.
It's so sad. I love that movie. The movie's so fucking charming, and
It's
just
very charming.
It's so like. It's such a chick flick, and I don't fucking care. I love every minute of it. I love
some guy stuff.
I love
to
the
it.
three gay guys in the van. Like, I just love that dynamic. The three gay guys,
yeah.
one straight guy, and I love the drunk chick that they gotta
See,
find.
I forget all that. You know what? I saw this movie really late at night, so I think I kind of forgot.
It's on Netflix. It's always there
So-
for you. Check it
is
out.
it?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now.
Oh, okay.
That's where I watched
Everybody go
it.
check it out. Hit
I
us
love
up
it.
on Twitter. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people hate it, but
No,
I love it.
I don't think
love
so. No, it's endearing.
So me and you got together last night.
We did.
Yeah, we Sunday night, which is weird. Our buddy Sean from the What Does It Matter podcast, that is WDIM podcast. You can check them out on iTunes and anywhere else that you catch podcasts. But he plays in a band. The band's called Adventure Soundtrack. You can also check out his band on Spotify. They were playing at John and Peter's in New Hope, which you like New Hope. My wife likes New Up and stuff.
I do.
So we went there. They are, they're a jam band, which I'm not sure we were prepared for.
No, but
But they sounded great.
I really enjoy jam. So I have a thing with jam bands. I feel like if I was a musician, I would want to be in a jam band.
Right? Yeah.
I think it's like selfish music playing. You're not playing for the audience or the listener.
playing for you.
You're playing for you.
And if they enjoy it, that's great. If they don't, fuck you.
And I respect that, but it is impressive. I mean, all the guys they take their turns, and you see some really good guitar numbers. Electric, the front guy, the bassist, our man on keys, the drummer. But
That's what I mean, man. Like, I was just really.
I wasn't overly crazy about the lyrics.
See, I liked it. I found myself in the morning. I was like washing my hair in the shower, and I was like, "If you got a bald spot,
I know.
you must be growing up." I was doing
It was all right. I give you that.
Yeah.
It was so quirky and weird.
I mean, so I like
funny.
So I like music like that, but like Lauren, grew up. She's a punk rock chick. Like, she grew up like the.
Right.
So like for that, she was like, "Is this the same song?" I'm like, "It is, honey." And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
11, 12 minutes?
Yeah, it's been 11, 12 minutes. Yeah.
But we had such a great time, and Sean is such a wonderful, charming, funny, good-looking, guy.
Great guy, great guy.
So we had a lot of fun watching him tickle the ivories. He's got some fancy fucking fingers, man.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
With a big smile on his face. He loves
know,
it.
yeah.
He loves just jamming with the guys. And I love seeing that. Like, I love seeing
Yeah, it's exactly
musicians
it.
really get into their craft. I mean, their love. And
but there
it's
was one
amazing.
guy there who, like, he was that guy. He was kind of tall, not you tall, but like taller than me, which that's not that tall. But he had like he looked like evil Santa Claus. Like, he had this very long hair,
yeah.
long beard. He was wearing like this fleece vest with like
and
like
drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon.
right, like dad jeans. And he came in and like he stood there and watched them for about like 10 or 15 minutes, had his arms crossed, bobbing his head and stuff like that. But the scowl never left his face. And when I saw him walking by me, I whispered to my wife, I was like, "That's a man who's looked another man in the eye and watched him die." I was like, she looked at me and she looked at his face. She looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, yeah." I was like, people called him Axel in prison. I know it.
Yeah. But I actually was able to get up on stage.
Yes.
And I could not fit whatsoever. I was easily hitting my head.
As always, when people meet Jay, they're enamored at his height.
Yeah. Well, but rightfully so. I mean, this bar is a legendary, very old,
Music
very
bar.
small music bar,
Yeah.
dive bar, very low ceilings. It's been around forever. So
Wasn't made to be a bar. Wasn't made to play music. But fuck it, they do it anyway.
and a lot of famous acts have gone through there.
Yeah.
And it's still fun to go to every once in a while. But it was kind of cool for me to finally get up on stage because I was always curious to see if I would ever fit up on there, and I wouldn't. I would have to be a drummer.
Yeah, definitely would.
Or I have to sit on the side with like a little tambourine or something.
So definitely make sure that you check out our friend Sean over at the What Does It Matter WDIM podcast. Check him out on iTunes, and then you can also check out the band Venture Soundtrack. You can check them out on Spotify. We had a great time hanging out with them on a Sunday night, which I was falling asleep at a certain point on the way home. I was so tired. Jay, did you watch anything this week?
Yeah, so I went to the theater and I saw 3 pretty well anticipated movies, especially for Oscar season, particularly one, Green Book, the Peter Farrelly movie, starring Viggo Mortensen.
This is the movie that
Ali.
Viggo Mortensen like purposely put on weight to do, right?
He certainly did.
But like, what's weird is like you see him when he puts on, like he carries weight well. I feel like he tried to get fat, and it's but he carries it well.
But he's also this is also a true story,
right?
So he's playing, a real guy from New York,
a competitive food eater as well, right? Wasn't he?
For money.
For money.
I mean, it's the '60s. He was a bouncer guy.
Yeah,
he was not.
He looks like
he's getting money wherever he can get it.
He looks like a Cool Hand Luke-esque character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, but he's gonna eat 52 eggs.
Yeah, and Mahershala Ali is this like world renowned concert pianist.
Yeah,
and he embarks on this journey down the Deep South during that time where it is not really safe to be a black man.
Right. And the Green Book was a guide that black Americans back then had to use to know where it was safe when you were traveling through the South.
Right.
Where it's safe to stay, what towns to avoid,
Absolutely. And you see that throughout the movie.
Right. And it was an essential guide. To think that you had to live in a world where you had to use a book to know where it was safe to go. You couldn't just Google it.
and even seeing just like as adored as he is in certain aspects, certain venues that he played at, he wouldn't be able to eat in there, or he wouldn't be able to use the restroom. He would have to go to the outhouse outside.
Right. So the whiteys will come in and they'll marvel at his natural talent with the piano, but they'll be like, "Don't touch the same shrimp cocktail that I'm going to touch, you son of a bitch."
Yeah, I mean, it's a really extremely well balanced movie that is a crowd pleaser. Especially it hits on a lot of moments.
It's Oscar baity as fuck, which is why I'm not rushing out to see it.
It's extremely well done.
I love Mahershala Ali, and I love Viggo Mortensen. Yes. Captain Fantastic was one of my favorite films a couple years ago.
Yeah,
I fell in love with that movie, and I've always loved him. Eastern Promises, History of Violence, like some of my favorite films have him in it. But it just seems like it's such Oscar baity that I'm not in a rush to see it because I know this will be out for free on Amazon or somewhere before Oscar season. I will be able to catch it somewhere.
Probably.
But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I definitely did. I'm going to give that an A. It's a beautiful movie. It touches on all the right things, and I don't care what anybody else says. If it's too breezy, it doesn't hit too hard on certain thematic.
But does it have to? Isn't it a thematic element that we as a society are 100% aware of now, especially in the films that we've seen in the past 10 years?
And it's not that story. That's not the point of the story.
Right.
It touches on those things. It makes you aware of those things in those moments.
But even in the trailer, it kind of seems like Viggo Mortensen's character isn't quite prepared for the amount of racism that he sees in the South because he's from New York.
Absolutely.
So seeing a black guy walking down the street ain't a thing.
Well, it is mostly his arc more than Mahershala Ali's,
right? Because he's been dealing with it.
Well,
he's seen it,
yes,
lived it.
Yes, and also he's lived a very sheltered life, being that great artist and being world renowned. But he keeps himself closed down and does not know his own. As Viggo Mortensen says, he doesn't know his own black people. He doesn't know how to respond to them or how to interact with them. He just doesn't find his place because he's not black enough. He's not white enough. Where am I? He's conflicted.
Cool. I'm definitely interested in seeing it. So what else did you watch, man?
I got out and saw Boy Erased. Boy Erased is the other gay conversion movie that I was referencing before when I previously recorded another review. And this one is much more well balanced. It definitely touches on a more grander scope of the family dynamic, along with the characters and the actors portraying their roles extremely well. Joel Egerton was the director of this movie, and he still shows that he is a talent. He is also the guy who is in charge of converting these young men and women into becoming straight. And it is still a very moving and struggling, a struggling issue that we still deal with in America. Throughout many states, over 30 states, they'll have it legalized in America. But definitely, if you're interested, check that out.
It's a strange.
It's a B movie. It's not great, but it's a solid movie.
It's a strange, torturous process. It is terrible that it exists. It's weird, but it's like one of those movies that's like I'm not terribly interested in seeing this. I do want to see Joel Egerton's like prowess behind the camera more so than his prowess in front of it. Because
he gets good performances out there, but it's not directed anything special. There's nothing special to it, but I appreciate that they're bringing this subject to the forefront, especially this year with two movies, but because it's something that needs to be addressed.
It is, yeah.
And also, finally, I saw Widows, the female ensemble. Formerly, I guess you could say it was a male ensemble heist movie turned into a female heist movie.
This is the movie you watch that I could give two flying fucks about. I saw this trailer and I was like, this looks god awful, and then it's actually been getting positive buzz which is weird.
Yes,
but like I was like, it just looks like such garbage to me.
It's a very high profile film because it does have a bit of a budget, but it's directed by Steve McQueen. Now, Steve McQueen is the director of 12 Years a Slave,
right?
Shame, Hunger. So he is a very raw, naturalistic, indie kind of director.
And he loves one-word films.
Well, he did 12 Years a Slave. That's not one word. But
that's true. You're right.
But it's also written by Gillian Flynn. So she is also still tapping into her writing into the film world now because she did Gone Girl, obviously, and Sharp Objects, which was really popular this past year. This movie, it just didn't work. For me, it was a little too raw, a little too bleak, a little too on the nose of what they were trying to do, but it didn't pull off the intelligence that it wanted to be. Like, it wanted to be smarter than it was, and actors just seemed like they were just not having fun, and I just was not sucked into or believed any of the women in these roles as grieving wives trying to make a buck after their husbands passed away during this heist that gone wrong.
Boring.
Cool. Are you done boring people now? Do you want to throw a score out there for it?
That's I'll still give that a B- though. I mean, they did
fair enough.
Well enough.
I feel like when you review movies, most of our listeners tune out.
Only you, Dave. Everybody else loves me.
Yeah. I don't know. Time will tell. I'll be holding auditions for my new co-host. So I mean, I honestly, because pretty busy this weekend, I didn't have time to like sit down and watch a whole lot of movies, but I did revisit a trilogy of movies that I'm very happy to go back to all the time. I watched Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End in reverse order. We actually watched The World's End first because it was a movie
that's a good trio.
Well, it came out like so long ago, and I only ever saw it in the theater, and I do own it, but we never watched it. We never put it on because it's honestly the least good of the Cornetto Trilogy. But I was like, I haven't seen it in so long, so I put it on, and I fucking love it. Like, I do love it, even though it's the third best in a great trilogy. So it's like watching Return of the Jedi. It's still good. It's not as good as the other ones, but it's still good. It's fucking awesome. And I just love the end of it when they're just belligerently drunk yelling at this disembodied alien voice. It's just like, you bit off more than you can chew with the human fucking race. And it's so true. Like, we are kind of our belligerent animals.
Well.
When you think about like the grand scheme of everything. And it's still really good. But also, Hot Fuzz is just so well done. Such a lovely homage to buddy cop films to action films and stuff like that. And it is,
and you're just immediately invested. You're in it. You're in it because the directing and the writing is just so sharp,
and the humor is just so on point. Like it just, if you're getting the references and stuff, it just cracks you up. And then when you get to when we get into Shaun of the Dead, I mean, I think everyone's talked about how fantastic Shaun of the Dead is so often. I picked it number 1 in my zombie movie draft, and I got to go second. Someone else picked one before me, and I was like, yeah. You can listen to that episode over at So I Married a Movie Geek. He just did draft for 1984 films, and you'll be surprised at what goes number 1. There's another film I would have put at number 1, but So I Married a Movie Geek movie drafts. Those are great. I'll be on another one very soon. Once the tournament starts wrapping up, I will be in the semifinals for the 80s movie drafts. But Jay, other than that, man, I haven't really been watching a whole lot of new stuff. I mean, for geeks, I did my 7-day free trial of the Warner Brothers, DC universe, where it's their streaming service. It's got free comic books, free TV shows, and free movies, all from the DC universe. And I watched The Death of Superman, which is the new one that came out in 2018. They kind of had a Death of Superman that came out a couple years ago, done by Bruce Timm, which is the creator of the Superman Adventures and Batman the Animated Series. But they're doing an updated version now to kind of match with like the current comics and everything. And it was pretty darn good. I always enjoy a good Superman story. I just always feel like good Superman stories are few and far between. But I had a lot of fun with it. I love the DC animated films. They're always fantastic and fantastically produced too. The animation's always top notch. The voice acting's always top notch in it. And I like where this one leaves us. It kind of like The Death of Superman kind of ends on a cliffhanger that per se. So they will have a sequel that I'm very much looking forward to. And I've been watching a cartoon, one of the best DC animated cartoons since Batman the Animated Series.
Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah, it's Young Justice. It's all of the sidekicks, all the younger characters from the DC universe are brought in to be part of the Young Justice League, who operate as covert operations for the Justice League. They're the ones that go in and investigate before whether the Justice League should get involved or not and stuff like that. And it's so much fun. The team dynamic
it's just in time to compete with Spider-Man Into the Universe. Right?
Well, actually, this show is from 2011, so it's actually gone and been off the air. They're actually going to be bringing it back shortly, which is why I've been rewatching it, because it's animation done right, and that happens so rarely in a lot of these like kids shows, because a lot of them honestly are cash grabs. Like, they're made to sell toys, and if they don't sell toys, they get canceled, which is why Young Justice went off the air, because it wasn't selling toys.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, and it was on Cartoon Network in 2011, 2012, 2013, like in that area. Yeah. And it just went away. But it was one of my favorite animated shows, so I decided I'm going to go back and take a look at it. And then other than that, adult animation-wise, I've been watching the 3rd season of F is for Family, which I absolutely love. It is a Bill Burr produced show, kind of mildly autobiographical about his life growing up. The voice cast is absolutely amazing in it. It's a hilarious show. It takes place in the 1970s. It's a belligerent dad who curses and screams at his kids. At one point, there's a dad yelling at his daughter, and he's just like, "Whatever, go fuck yourself." "Nah, it's all right, everybody. That's my daughter." It's honestly just like this slice of depravity in the 1970s. In how what was acceptable then is so
what you can have fun
now.
With viewing now.
Yeah, exactly.
2018. Because,
exactly right. It's funny to think back and just be like, how did our parents do it? And then you watch this and you're like, that's how our parents did it. They did it.
The baby boomer generation.
Right. They did it while fucked up and drunk and screaming at us the whole time.
They were still coming out of the 60s. That's what everybody was drinking at work and smoking at work.
Not particularly my dad, because that was more of the 80s, but I just feel like it's so true to life, and it's such a funny show. And
my grandparents, our grandparents.
Our grandparents. It's our grandparents.
That's how they raised our
it's
our parents.
It's an exaggeration of the truth, but that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, of course.
So definitely check that show out if you haven't been watching F is for Family. It's one of the funniest shows like Netflix does, and it's right up there with like BoJack Horseman, and I know a lot of people are still in love with Big Mouth, so give it a go around. I think this is the second year in a row that I'm talking about it. So Jay, let's head over, man. Let's start banging out some of these news stories. Now it's time for the news. All right, Jay, me and you got a bunch of news stories that we're going to be running through here. Some of them require a little bit more discussion, some of them not so much. Let's start off with one that ties into our episode last week. Sylvester Stallone has made a statement. Creed 2 was his last go-around with the character of Rocky Balboa. He will not return for any Creed sequels. He's done. So question is, do they kill him off screen? Do they have Rocky die? Do they start the film at Rocky's funeral? Or do they just kind of say just
mention it?
Rocky lives in Montreal with Robert now. He's moved on. He's done. He's done.
Okay. It depends on the arc.
Right. Well, so the way I would see it is Rocky.
Are they going to try to do Creed 8? Are they going to continue
I don't know.
just like Rocky, or are they going to do a three-picture arc?
As long as they're successful, they're going to keep doing them, I think.
Well, then they should kill him off then.
But at some point, I think, Michael B. Jordan as an actor, Tessa Thompson as an actress, when Rocky was made, Sylvester Stallone was a struggling actor. You know what I mean? He wasn't, these were films that came along every now and then to pay his bills. He didn't become big until the mid and late 80s. So the Rocky films were really floating his bank book.
Right.
But not so much for Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson. These are two people that are getting jobs out there. They have plenty of other opportunities. They don't need to keep going back to this well every now and then. So I honestly don't see it going much past 3. I wouldn't even be surprised if they all said we're done after this one. I would probably be more thankful if they said they're done after Creed 2. But if they do a Creed 3, it won't have Sylvester Stallone in it. But the arc I would like to see is not that he dies, is that he's just left the whole life behind him. What else can he teach Adonis? He doesn't need to teach Adonis anything else. He's taught him everything, all the wisdom that he can impart on him. I think
it finished and his personal arc, Rocky, with Creed and him as a person, very well.
And I would honestly like to see, Adrian's isn't even a restaurant anymore, because I've always seen Adrian's restaurant in Rocky Balboa and the 2 Creed films to be sort of like him hanging on to the past. Adrian's dead, so he named the restaurant Adrian after her, and he spends so much time there because when he's there, he feels close to her. Because the house he lives in holds no meaning to him.
And the photos, part of his past, and
a man who is
way to keep money coming in.
He's surrounded himself by his past, and now he's moving into his future. I think it's a nice place to end it. You don't need to kill him. You just say Rocky has done. He's just done what he's needed to do. He's just done it. It doesn't matter,
and it doesn't need to be brought up. You don't have to mention his death. You don't have to really mention anything much more than he's just.
I think you have to touch on it a little bit in the next film.
Touch on it,
but you don't need you don't need
to over dramatize it.
You don't need to dramatize it.
Dramatize it. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jay. What other news stories you got?
Our boy Wes Anderson is coming out with a new movie. Well, not coming out with a new movie so much, but he just started filming one. He's very secretive with a lot of his projects, but it is set in Paris, and it is kind of a love letter to journalists in the 20th century Paris, and it has 3 storylines, and that's pretty much all you're going to get about that movie, but it has quite a nice cast. It has the usual suspects of Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, but you're also going to include Jeffrey Wright, Benicio del Toro, my boy Timothée Chalamet, and there are some interesting rumors. Brad Pitt, Natalie Portman, and Léa Seydoux possibly being in it as well. So I'm very excited for this.
I am too.
We both love Wes.
Yeah.
He generally brings out the best out of his characters.
Even if
and
I
his
don't
actors
love
for
the
ensembles.
movie, like for its story and stuff like that, I love Wes
Being there
Anderson
and just
for the
watching
visual.
it.
Yeah, the visuals
the visual
are so good.
fun flair of it all.
It is.
Because you could tell it's his movie.
It's such a weird take on high society. That's what I love. Because I hate high society, but it's such this weird
I think that's
take that can only come from someone who grew up in high society.
exactly, and who sort of disdains it or has a different kind of twist or angle viewpoint of it.
Because don't sell yourself short. This is a dude that like is high society himself. It's just he has the ironic skewed view of it that we could never have
which I
we've never been there.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate it
because I enjoy viewing high society.
At certain points, it's just a lot of fun
from
to
a
do.
very far distance.
Yes.
But I liked his skewed view of it because you never. I love the nonchalance of it all. That's what's so beautiful about it, you know?
All right, Jay. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has revealed that there are surprise voice actors in the credits. So there's Chris Pine as another version of Peter Parker, Zoe Kravitz as Mary Jane, Kathryn Hahn as Doc Ock, a female Doc Ock, Jay, Lake Bell as Vanessa Fisk.
I love Lake Bell.
Jorma Taccone as the Green Goblin, Post Malone as a Brooklyn bystander, and Stan Lee as Stan. And dude, I have never been more excited for a comic book film this year. Like I'm on it. Like Into the Spider-Verse.
No, I agree.
Has me more excited.
I'm excited.
Has me more excited than even Avengers Infinity War did, because maybe it's because that happened so long ago. That was April of 2018. It was a long time ago. I am as excited for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse at least as I was for that. I am just so looking forward to it. And early buzz is it is, and I don't want to give like anyone's hopes up too much, but it is the best Spider-Man film since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, which is saying a lot because that was
quite a lot.
Because that was the pinnacle of Spider-Man movies in my mind. Even better than Spider-Man Homecoming, which was good. It was really good.
A lot of people said Homecoming was better. I was one of those people who I'm not sure if I said that. But it certainly was very close. I did really enjoy the movie a little bit more than Dave did. But these trailers are ridiculous, and I'm not surprised at all that it's getting the hype that it is, and it's probably going to steal. This is the most interesting thing: is it going to steal the Oscar from The Incredibles 2? That's going to be the most fun thing to watch during the Oscars.
When it comes to art style, when it comes to like stylistically, I think this is miles above a lot of other animated movies.
Goddamn original and fun to watch. And if you want to clarify, like the word animated, that is the epiphany of an animated movie. It is fucking comic book to screen.
Yeah. And
right there.
And it looks so perfect. And I just can't wait for it. We will have a review coming in probably about 2 weeks. The film comes out December 14th. Me and Lauren already bought our tickets. So we are definitely going to be reviewing the movie. And everything I've seen from it, even the 3 minutes that they added at post credits for Venom was hilarious. It was also like it showed a lot of depth in the characters and stuff like that. And I'm just very excited for it. I just can't speak highly enough of a film I haven't seen yet.
I know. So don't overhype yourself or our listeners. So I got an interesting little tidbit from Marvel. Marvel is apparently fast-tracking Shang-Chi. It's a movie that will be the first Asian-led superhero film. Now, as we all know, China is becoming the new Hollywood, and it's got a large, big market. And, they do want to cater towards that a little bit, but I think it's time. It's time for that, right?
It's somewhat surprising because Shang-Chi...
Is it still early?
No. Shang-Chi, while it's probably the only Asian-led superhero they can really go with.
Okay. Because everything is a little too...
Kind of. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going somewhere, Jay. Shut the fuck up and let me get there. I'm fake yelling at Jay. No, I'm not. I am. Anyway, so Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu, is one of the members of the Heroes for Hire, or at some point has been. He's also been a member of the Secret Avengers and Avengers B-list characters, stuff like that. This character is kind of a smaller character. He kind of fit in that Netflix type of world, which is slowly crumbling and falling out from underneath of us. That news story is coming soon. It's something that I don't think has such a big screen presence, because I don't think the character has a whole lot to really add to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Who the first Asian superhero movie should be, Jay, is Amadeus Cho, because they've already set up his mother in Avengers Age of Ultron. His mother was one of the doctors who was inventing the machine that fixed Hawkeye's side and helped create the Vision. And I thought using Amadeus Cho, because Amadeus Cho, Jay, eventually, while he is like the 8th smartest person on the world or something like that, he eventually goes on to become the Incredible Hulk. So I thought it would be interesting to add Amadeus Cho, who's always had a great relationship in the Hulk comics, into if not the Hulk film, then into his own film. But I know the film rights to a solo Hulk movie are under lock with Universal, but I'm not sure if you change it from Bruce Banner to Amadeus Cho, if you can get away with it. So I'm sure there's some legalese in there, but I'm not sold on this movie. I don't think that this movie is. I kind of think that in a rush to hit different markets, you're kind of. I hope they don't put $200 million into making.
Right.
This is a $60 to $70 million film, hands down, and I don't want them to try to fit it into the Marvel universe as a whole if it shouldn't fit. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there shouldn't be an Asian-led superhero movie. There 100% should be, but I'm not sure if this is the character or the avenue that they should go with here. Time will tell. I mean, we'll see whether this gets canceled or whether they do a whole lot more for it. But, Jay, speaking of making a movie just to hit a demographic market, Warner Brothers and DC have announced that they are making the Blue Beetle film, which is, and they make it very clear that the Blue Beetle they are going to be following is Jaime Reyes, who, Jaime Reyes is a boy who a scarab fell down from outer space, attached to his back, and it partially controls his actions, allows him to have crazy awesome weapons, and it is a living being. So he kind of is like Iron Man, but also being controlled by a alien symbiote. So
I don't care.
He's also like Venom. But they are making it, and they didn't hide it so much by making it all about saying like Jaime Reyes. He's going to be the first, Latino-led superhero movie. And your Marvel story came out shortly after DC dropped this story that they were. So it kind of seems like they both want to be first to market with something. DC was first to market with the first female-led superhero movie with Wonder Woman. Now we're getting Captain Marvel, which we'll talk about at the end of our news segment here with the new trailer that just dropped. And now, they're rushing to the market to have, and then, not the first.
They will always be competing.
Exactly.
Always.
Just like the comics. All growing up.
Sure, of course.
It's Nintendo versus Sega all over again. What kind of kid are you?
It is what it is.
So, moving on, Jay. Tom Hanks is going to be in a Disney live action film. And I'm starting to think that these live action films, I'm all on board on The Lion King. Looks fantastic. Kind of looks like a shot for shot remake of the animated, but in a weird way, I think that they'll do some things that are different.
And I'm fine with that.
But Tom Hanks is up to play Geppetto in the Pinocchio live action remake. Do we need a live action remake of Pinocchio?
Well,
need it?
they announced this.
Do we need
years ago with Robert Downey Jr. and Tim Burton? That fell apart. So whatever. I mean, I don't know.
To hold me down.
Obviously, Tom Hanks is a great fit for any Disney feature film that he wants to be a part of. He is the embodiment of Disney. He is everyone's beloved movie star. And he's very versatile. He can do whatever he wants. So, do we need Pinocchio? Absolutely not. Especially not a live action one. I think that's going to be weird. And I don't think it's going to work. I really just don't think it's going to work at all.
This is like the Dumbo live action remake.
I could see Dumbo more than I could see Pinocchio, though.
But what made what made Dumbo and like Pinocchio groundbreaking and famous was, they came out in the 1940s and they were groundbreaking animation and stuff like that. Like no one had seen animation like that on the screen. Same thing with like Snow White and stuff like that.
Sure.
It was all about Disney flexing its prowess as the best animated film studio that was out there at the time. To have these films come out at live action, so CGI heavy and stuff like that, they're just kind of another film. It's just kind of another movie. It's not anything like groundbreaking like those ones were. They're not doing anything new with them. And the Pinocchio story isn't anything that I need to see again. It's not anything that I'm personally interested in. I don't think it's anything that fans are fever pitched looking for. Lion King, I get. There's a fan base for that. People love that shit. I love that shit.
I do too.
But there's no one out there just going, hey, why don't you remake Pinocchio? I want to see him get swallowed by a real whale.
Oh
like
my
it's
God.
not that stuff's not like no one's
it's not
asking
there.
for that.
Nobody is.
No one's asking.
Nobody is, and they're going to spend a fortune on that.
But if you're going to do it, Tom Hanks is not a bad place to start.
I know, but goddamn, it's already setting up for like another $150 million, $200 million film. It's like, are you kidding me? No.
I know it's going to be a very expensive film. Jay, more news kind of from the House of Mouse, but I like this news. So we know that Jon Favreau...
Dave, first of all, Hollywood is the House of Mouse.
That's okay.
Everything comes from the mouse anymore.
Then other studios should do better.
I think they're so scared.
DC should do better. And Warner Brothers.
Well,
They
Warner
should be
Brothers
doing better.
has no excuse.
Yeah.
They should be doing better.
You
for
should be
sure.
doing better.
Yes.
And that's I won't apologize. I know so many people get angry at Disney and stuff like that. I'll never apologize for liking something that I like.
Of course not. Fuck that. No,
I like what they're making. So I'll never apologize for it.
There's no sides.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. It's either good or it's not. Either you like it or you don't.
Right. So anytime someone's like shames me for liking Disney, and I was like, you know what? Shame on the other studios for not doing better.
Right.
I mean, they're all trying to compete with it. Do something different and try to be better.
Yeah.
That's all.
Don't half-ass yourself.
Exactly.
Do it right.
What the reason all the other studios aren't doing as well is because they're all trying to catch up to what Disney's doing. Go do your own fucking thing. Yeah. And I think DC will get it. With I think they're starting to get it with like the Joker film and stuff like that. I think Warner Brothers may eventually catch up and get it.
I'm on board with that. So I really appreciate what they're doing with the Joaquin Phoenix picture.
Can I get back to my news story?
Please.
All right. Jon Favreau, we all know, is the producer, showrunner, and basically the lead for the Star Wars TV show that's going to be on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian. We know that Pedro Pascal is up to play the lead in that, and it's also rumored that Daniel Logan, who played young Boba Fett, will be appearing in the show as well. We kind of get a hint that it's taking place somewhere in the timeline that is the current timeline, somewhere maybe in between of the original trilogy timeline and this timeline. But they have now cast Nick Nolte in the series, and no word yet on who he's playing, but something tells me he's gonna be playing some sort of grizzled old vet. Because you can't look at Nick Nolte and say he was anything else.
I can't even understand what the hell he says anymore.
You know when I said that story, when I said we saw that guy at the bar who looked a man in the eye and knows what it's like to look at a man in the eye as he dies. Nick Nolte looks like that man. Like, he can't play anything but a grizzled old war vet. Hey, I would love to see him playing like I don't know, maybe an aging clone, or maybe he's just a grizzled old Mandalorian, or maybe he's just a grizzled old soldier who owns a bar that the Mandalorian frequents. Who knows?
I know.
But I like Nick Nolte, man.
I like him too. Come on.
I mean, I think of like performances of his lately that I've really liked, like A Walk in the Woods with him and Martin Sheen, where they take the walk.
I still need to see that.
You need to see it. It's such a good AARP movie. It's so good. His performance in Warrior, man. You goddamn bastard, Ahab! You turn the ship around! Ahab, you bastard! You kill them all! The dude can still deliver, like when he needs to. The dude can still deliver. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to that. Jay, we got 2 news stories here for people who aren't done after they said they were done. So let's bang through these ones real quick. We did the news story for Taron Egerton, who said, I am not coming back to the Kingsman franchise. And then we know that they're doing a prequel movie with Colin Firth, which sounds awesome because it takes place in the 60s, 70s when spies had their heyday, which sounds like a lot of fun. But Fox is saying, no, he's not done. He is coming back. He will be back. and that he is set to reprise his role as Eggsy. Now, you told me and you previously talked about this a little bit, so you said you had a few things to say about it.
The fucking man. The man got his balls.
It's not the man. It's a contract that he signed when he was a young actor to do a 3-picture deal. You don't get to walk away after 2 bombed. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh, I know.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that time in Little League when you struck out and you told your dad you were going to quit, and your dad got down on one knee, he looked you in the eye, and he squeezed your shoulder just a little bit too tight that it kind of hurt, and he said, "You don't quit something, you see it through."
Oh yeah, I had that.
Yeah. Well, that's what Fox kind of did to him. They were squeezing his shoulder, and it's like, you'll see it through, or we'll sue you.
Yeah.
Or we'll see your ass in court. And he's just like, I have star power. And they're like, no. Robin Hood's bombing, son. You'll be back. And he goes, yeah, I'll be back.
All right.
And Rocket Man is not tracking to do what Bohemian Rhapsody did. So you'll
probably
be back.
not.
You'll be back, son.
Actually, it might. We'll see. We'll see.
You'll be back, son. No, yeah, I mean, it seems like he sees a sinking ship and he wanted to walk away from it as a young actor.
Exactly. I understand where his viewpoint was coming from. I kind of appreciated the balls that he had, but I'm not surprised.
It's like Fast and
that
Furious.
This is happening.
It's like the original Fast and Furious film when Brian hits his nos and goes, and then the guy goes, "Too soon, Junior." Too soon. You announced that too soon. You should have waited for Fox to implode and then say, "I'm out." Right when they're in such a downward spiral and they're being acquired
let your
by
agent decide when you leave, not you.
Not you. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of not done, like I said, we have another person who is reportedly not done. Chris Evans has famously said that, Avengers 4 is going to be his last Avengers. He'd like to step away from the role. He'd like to step away from the hectic shooting schedules of the Avengers film. And he would like to go do more smaller projects and even direct some himself. But the Avengers 4 directors have said that, nah, he's not done. He's not done yet. There's more in store for Captain America. They're not saying what is in store for him. They're not even saying in what capacity, but he's not officially done. Chris Evans, I think, made a statement that he was done with these films at some point because he had just finished filming one of them.
I think he didn't even know the future anyway in regards to this.
Right. Yeah. He's beat. He's tired. And we've seen actors do this all the time. You go through a grueling schedule of filming an action set piece, type picture like Avengers, or even, with Daniel Craig after filming one of those Bonds, which is tough for a guy his age to be doing. He says, I'm done. I'm just beat. I can't do this anymore. Then they go and they sit at home for 3, 4, 5 months with nothing to do. And they go, you know what? Doing another Bond film sounds like fun. Doing another go as Captain America carrying that shield sounds like fun. So they make these statements right after filming because they're beat, they're tired, they're just worn out.
It's fun, but you're also
and they're doing the press circuit.
You're fucking Captain America. And you're making stupid money.
And they're getting these questions over and over again, the same questions over and over again by 20 different interviewers in a single day, and they're done with that too. And I don't blame them for making rash decisions or rash statements and stuff like that. But yeah, so it seems like Chris Evans is not yet done playing Captain America. Jay, we talked about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse at the beginning of the news segment. Apparently, Sony wanting to triple, quadruple, and dectuple down on Spider-Man stuff right now. We know that they have announced that there will be a Venom 2. They have announced that they are doing a Morbius, the Living Vampire. They are doing Black Cat, Silver Sable, all these type of movies. Now they're letting you know that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has a sequel/female spinoff. It'll be an all-female spinoff of Spider characters, including Spider-Gwen, that will go off to do their own Into the Spider-Verse, female only. Now, we haven't seen it, so
that's ballsy.
Spider-Gwen could be the breakout character in this that we're not
it
expecting.
has to be. I mean, that's a shocking announcement for them to make right now. I just don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's a lot of money to bank on something that nobody knows anything about.
They need to put something out there that keeps Spider-Man in the zeitgeist after their deal is done with Disney.
Yeah, I would like that announcement in January.
Yeah, right after this film has come out.
Yeah, not now.
Right,
January.
But the early reviews are out, and people in the know are already aware that it's good.
But not the public, not our listeners, probably.
Yeah, but Jay, the people listening to this are also people in the know. They listen to movie podcasts that do news and current events and stuff because they're interested.
Perhaps, or they're getting their information from us.
They're not. Most people that listen to us when we talk about this stuff,
there are some.
They've already heard about it. All right, so one final bit of news, Jay. The second Captain Marvel trailer has dropped. Me and you are here recording. It dropped while we were watching the Eagles
fucking win
against the Washington Redskins, and it dropped on Monday Night Football. So, Jay, let's get into a very brief trailer park for Captain Marvel Trailer 2.
So, Skrulls are the bad guys, and you're a Kree. A race of noble warriors?
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
Your life began the day it nearly ended. We found you with no memory. We made you one of us. So you could live longer, stronger, superior. You were reborn.
I keep having these memories. Something in my past is the key to all of this.
You know how to fly this thing?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Do you like to know what you really are?
I think I had a life here. What aren't you telling me?
You've come a long way, but you're not as strong as you think. This war is just the beginning.
I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it.
All right, Jay. So it is Captain Marvel trailer number 2. But honestly, watching it, it doesn't give us a whole lot more than trailer 1 did. It does give us new footage, which is nice. We see Annette Bening in her role. We know that Carol Danvers bleeds blue, not red. So she is, I think they're alluding to she's part Kree when she says she had a life here. And they said that they found her at, practically dead. So it's obviously that she is half human, half Kree, or they did some sort of science experiment on her. At least that's what I'm thinking. We know from not marketing material, from toy material, that Jude Law's character is not Marvel. He is not the original Captain Marvel. He is playing Yon-Rogg, which will probably wind up being the bad guy of the film, because Yon-Rogg is a Captain Marvel villain. So, which was the role that
who hates Marvel,
right? And that in previous,
who we still have no confirmation, who that will be. We have our theories.
I would like it to be Ben Mendelsohn, but I'm pretty sure Ben Mendelsohn's a Skrull. So, but I would like to see Ben Mendelsohn in a good guy role for once.
I would like to see a good twist, for the story. But you also see that Samuel L. Jackson is going to be predominantly in this movie.
Yeah, well, so that's one of the things that I really liked about this trailer. This buddy cop thing between them, where we saw a little bit in the first trailer. Where he was
which makes a lot of sense with the end of the last Infinity War movie, where you understand now why he would send that text to Captain Marvel at the very end, because he had that kind of relationship with her, probably.
It's not. I like that they're getting in this Quinjet that is it's a prototype Quinjet. It's from the 1990s, so we see what Quinjets look like in 2018, 2019, whatever the Avengers movies take place. But this older Quinjet, and he's like, you know how to fly this? We'll see. That's a yes or no question. Yes. And then she flies it and stuff. But like, I like this whole thing where it's like, you know, we saw in the first trailer where he's the type of guy who said he was going to hang it up until he met a superhero. And he realized that the world was changing. That this was going to be a monumentous thing that changed world security forever. And he wanted to be on the ground level of it. And he's there with her. And it just looks.
I hope I feel that. I really want to feel that, because so far I like the trailers. I do not love the trailers.
This trailer I love. I love this. There's one line I don't like.
I still don't love it.
I hate the line when she says, like, you know, we're a race of heroes, and she's like, he you know, Samuel Jackson's like, a race of warrior heroes. Yeah, a race of warrior heroes. I'm like, whatever. That's stupid. Shut up. That's dumb. Yeah, no one describes himself as a race of warrior heroes. And obviously, you know, it's all going to come crumbling down because she thinks that the Kree are heroes, but clearly the Kree are probably just as bad as the Skrulls. And that's always been the way it is in the Marvel universe, in the comics, was that the Kree-Skrull war was more about two asshole factions two asshole empires fighting each other, and Earth caught in the middle.
But I'm also a little bit worried that this is going to be the most confusing Marvel movie for the average moviegoer to go out and see, because right off the bat they're trying to like identify what a Skrull is. You know, they're entering
a Skrull. You're talking about a 1980s cult film, Skrull. You mean Skrull?
Skrull. Thank you.
It's like Skull, but add an R.
Like, they open up where, you know, obviously a lot of people didn't understand why she punched the old lady.
Marvel does not shy away from exposition dumps. It's one of my biggest knocks about the Marvel universe, is that they don't mind exposition dumps when they need them. They will 100%. The way this movie's going to go is the first 20 minutes, half hour, first act will be her fighting in space.
Dave, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about getting people to go out and watch this movie.
You only need to see it because of what they've shown you here, because of Carol Danvers. It doesn't matter.
But the average moviegoer might not even know what the fuck is going on, and like, I don't know anything about this. I'm not going to go see it.
Jay, my mom doesn't know what's going on in half of these movies, but she fucking loves the MCU. So she doesn't, you know, like, she doesn't have the comic book knowledge I have.
But all
going into them.
It seems like all the other superheroes in the Marvel universe has a lot more simpler stories. It's a little bit more cut and dry.
Jay, what's more simple than you crash land, than you crash, get rescued by an alien empire, get genetically altered, become one of their greatest warriors, and then rebel against them?
It seemed very confusing.
It sounds like a standard story to me.
The trailer just seemed a lot
standard comic book fare.
A lot more confusing than it needed to be.
I don't think it's confusing at all. I mean, but that's because
so many jump cuts between her past, present, memories, whatever the hell it is.
Well, I think the movie's going to be that. I think the movie's going to be a whole. So, like I was saying,
I don't want too much of it. I'm already getting
first
worried.
act is going to be her in it fighting with the Kree in space. She'll crash land on Earth, start having memories of Earth, questioning the Kree, eventually finding out that the Kree and the Skrulls are both bad, fighting and protecting Earth, and then becoming, you know,
Dave, I get it. It could work out beautifully as a film, but the trailers are just not 100% doing it for me.
I think your origin stuff is going to come from that scene that we see in this trailer with her standing in the file room looking at files of herself and stuff like that. I think, you know, you are going to... I
can see it. Yeah.
I think you're going to be fine with it when it all comes out. I think the marketing material is being closely guarded because this movie is coming out just 2 months before Avengers 4, and so much of what is in this trailer and so much of what it's going to be in this movie is going to echo and have such an effect on Avengers 4 that they can't show a whole lot.
Well, they do tease that she is fighting in space.
No, they don't tease. They flat out fucking show it at the end. She flies from Earth to space and starts blowing up spapeships, Jay.
Yeah, they do.
They show it. They don't even tease it. They fucking show it.
And I kind of dug that part. I did.
Dude,
I got into that.
The effects look awesome on her. Like I love.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty wild. I mean, it's bright and it's loud and there's a lot going on in that.
But as a little Easter egg to,
you could just feel the power that she probably has. You know,
as a little Easter egg to the eagle-eyed fans after the first trailer, and then they saw the poster for Captain Marvel. Everyone wondered where her cat was. Her cat was hidden in the original poster that they showed. The cat makes a very prominent appearance here. Her cat, who's not a cat, he is a shapeshifter, and Fury loves the kitty cat.
Yeah, fuck cats. Not a cat person, sorry.
But her cat is actually an alien shapeshifter who just takes the form of a cat. He's actually a pretty gross, demonic looking creature when he's in his true form. So I really enjoyed this trailer. I'm actually really looking forward to this. And I'm not saying it's like going to be the best MCU film, but I think it's going to be a solid film. I really like, the fact that I'm a huge old school Marvel fan, and I feel like they're going to be playing homage to that stuff. So
that'll be fun. Because we're 90s boys, and this is taking place in the 90s, which is fun too.
And they're going to have some fun with that era.
I would like to see that. Yeah.
So, Jay, let's go get some beers. Let's go get some beers.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the beer segment. Me and Jay got 2 beers that we are going to be reviewing for you, but before we do that, we got to drop a line to our sponsor, Blowfish. Blowfish is the only FDA-approved hangover cure. What it is, 2 tablets that you dissolve into 8 to 12 ounces of water, drink that shit down, and within 15 to 20 minutes, your hangover starts to feel better. So what you want to do is head over to www.forhangovers.com and use the promo code SMBFish for your 15% off, because you're going to need that Blowfish if you just went to a seedy bar in Upper Bucks County to watch your friend's band play jam music all night long.
All night long.
With the seediest of characters that New Hope has to offer.
Like Super Movie Brother Jay.
Like Super Movie Brother Jay. Exactly. Exactly. Jay, before we review these delicious dark beers that we are drinking, we got to do a drunk scene.
What do you want me to do? You just want me to hit you?
Come on. Do me this one favor.
Why?
Why? I don't know why. I don't know. Never been in a fight. You?
No, but that's a good thing.
No, it is not. How much can you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight. I don't want to die without any scars. So come on, hit me before I lose my nerve.
Oh, God. This is crazy.
She'll go crazy. Let her rip.
Hey, I don't know about this.
I don't either, but who gives a shit? No one's watching. What do you care?
Wait, what? This is crazy. You want me to hit you?
That's right.
What, like in the face?
Surprise me.
This is so fucking stupid.
Oh. Motherfucker! You hit me in the ear!
Well, Jesus, I'm sorry.
Ow! Christ! By the ear, man!
Ah, I fucked it up, kind of.
No, that was perfect. Oh. Ah.
We should do this again sometime.
I absolutely love that scene in this movie. It's been a long time since I watched Fight Club, man, because Fight Club had like this time in I think like when you're younger, and especially for us because it came out in like 99. So like, when we were in high school, this was the shit, and like. I really like emo kids kind of like ruined it because it became like their anthem, like it was for us, it was a really cool David Fincher movie, and a good book if you read Chuck Palahniuk books, which are pretty much just, written for shock value completely. Like that's what they're made for. But it got so saturated. It was on so many people's lists of like must see movies and stuff that it's like, I got so worn out on it. But it's been so long that
it's worthy though.
Yeah, I don't mind going back to it now. I probably haven't seen it in about 10 years now.
It holds up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to go away anytime soon, and it's still great, and you can just hear it. You don't even need to see it. You can hear it in their voices. Yeah. Brad Pitt in particular, he's just so giddy in the scene, and they play such a good pair. I absolutely love this movie. I love the scene. It's a great way to kick off Fight Club.
Yeah, it is. And I love like that he punches him in the ear. And it's like, have you ever been hit?
Ear?
Yeah, have you ever been hit in the ear?
No.
Like it's weirdly like
you're gonna get cauliflower.
It weirdly fucks you up. Like so if you like get hit in the top of the ear in the lobe, it like stings and you're like,
and like nerves and stuff get like
and then you limp. Like after you get hit in the ear, you fucking limp and you don't know why. I remember there was this TV show. It was a Louis Anderson cartoon and it was called Life with Louis. And they talk about having a snowball fight and he gets hit in the ear and he's like, I don't know why, but every time I get hit in the ear, I can't stop limping. And I cracked up as a kid because that happens when you get hit in the ear. Like you just limp, you hold your head and you're like, ow, and like like you're limping. Probably messes with your equilibrium, I guess.
I guess. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense.
But the reason it's a drunk scene is because they were just at a bar after the narrator's apartment, Jack's apartment, explodes. So he calls up Tyler, meets him at a bar, and they drink, and then they go outside. You can hear the bottles tinging as he puts them down.
Yeah.
And they just decide to fight. And it's like...
And then even after the fight, they're sitting on the curb, sipping another beer.
And it's weird. The movie is so like weird in the way that like it's believable that this is how a cult would start. Something as innocuous as young men getting their aggression out by fighting.
Basic instincts, you know?
And then like next thing you know, like you start following these rules of the Fight Club, and the rules of the Fight Club become rules for a underground society. And then as an underground society,
lifestyle.
Yeah, you have to fight against the establishment that made you the way you are.
Yeah.
And
fight the code.
I know. And
form your own.
Every time I watch the end of this movie, which takes place in Delaware.
Oh, Wilmington?
Yeah. So Wilmington.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's actually like the credit capital of the world.
Oh, that's true.
So when they blow up all those buildings at the end, those are the headquarters of the major banks and credit card companies that they're blowing up. So the whole point was to make everyone's debt go back to zero, and I would love that. I don't think I could be part.
Wouldn't we all?
I don't think I could be part of what they do. I don't think I could do that, but I can certainly reap the benefits of it. If they destroyed it all, and they're like, I go to pay my credit card, and I was like, balance zero.
All right.
Right on. You guys didn't happen to hit any of those banks that hold my student loans, did you? All right. All right, Jay, we got 2 beers that we got to review. Both of these beers come from Chi-Town, Chicago. And they're from Goose Island, baby. So
I don't think we do Goose Island very often.
No, because they are such a major distributor now.
They're becoming a little bit commercial.
They're so big.
But we have some unique ones that you will not find normally on tap from Goose Island.
That's right, yeah. Mine's probably a little bit more standard of what they carry for their winter months, but yours is a seasonal. So why don't we get started with yours?
Yes, mine is the Goose Island Noel. It is a Belgian-style dark ale. It is a
first
strong
Noel.
But, the lettering is very festive, but it's got this chic kind of like navy blue and silver look.
Alcohol by volume by the 6th Noel, you're dead.
My long chest hair right now is just growing even longer now after drinking this beer.
Yeah, it's 9.6% alcohol by volume, which is why I gave it to you.
It's great because you only get that tinge of alcohol up front.
Yeah,
and then it kind of beautifully balances out into an uber smooth,
so it's not
caramel flavored.
So it's not crazy boozy. That's
pretty
nice.
Mild, and just overall a well balanced beer. But it doesn't wow you because there's not that many flavor notes to it, which is a little disappointing. But overall, it is still an okay beer. I'm going to give it a 3.75 because I don't think it's quite up to the 4 level, but
Jay,
it is a pretty solid beer, especially for being so strong.
That's not bad for a wheat beer either. That's a wheat beer. That's a Belgian. So
it's interesting. Yeah. I give them credit. They did a pretty interesting job with this beer. I just wish it had a little bit more flavor, especially towards the back end because
we're also drinking this extremely cold. That
is true.
I left these in the freezer a little bit longer than I probably should have. You should probably be drinking.
It probably will get better the more I sip it.
Yeah, you should probably be drinking at about 10 degrees warmer than we actually are. But I actually really enjoy that. It is boozy up front, and it does stay a little bit boozy in the middle, but you're right. It finishes off very smooth, very caramely, very, very nice. It's not bad. So I am drinking the Goose Island Parka Porter. This is 5.3% alcohol by volume, so nowhere near as high as yours, but every bit as dark and bold in flavor, probably bolder in flavor than yours is. So, I mean, it is extremely malty. It has a nice toasted, like caramel chocolate finish at the end of it, and It is silky fucking smooth, man. This is like liquid black velvet. It is like just black silk going down your gullet. It's honestly really, really, really tasty. And I don't think it's terribly complex in its flavors, but it's pretty beautiful in its simplicity as well. So I'm going to be giving it like a 4 out of 5 because I actually really enjoy this, and it's not too boozy, and you get some good flavors. Nice bang for the buck on this one.
Yeah, they're two pretty solid beers right there, you know? So go search them out because you're going to find some Goose Island around nearby you and pick them up while they last because they are seasonal and they are fun to drink.
So coming up next, me and Jay are going to do our top 5 movie fan theories that we wish were true.
Or we just like it.
Or we just really like it.
We like the theory.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for that. Jay, it's time for our top 5 countdown. You and I haven't done a top 5 for a couple weeks. We've been shying away from them because we got real comfortable doing them, and I didn't want to keep harping on the same type of
I don't mind.
The same type of show over and over again.
It's fun.
But this is one me and you meant to do weeks ago. We were supposed to do our top 5 movie fan theories that we wish were true or may actually turn out to be true. Time will tell on them. So Jay, we got to do this, man. There are so many movie fan theories out there. So many movies that, movies don't always explain everything about their plots. And some things are always meant to be brought back and aren't brought back. And some things are never said and are only exist within the director's head. Sometimes
left an interpretation from each viewer and fan.
Sometimes we get a fan theory that comes out, and sometimes it turns out to be true. Years ago, when Spider-Man Homecoming was coming out about 2 years ago, people were all saying like that little boy in Iron Man 2 who stands up to the drone, and Iron Man flies down and protects that little boy and says,
"Nice work, kid."
Flies away. Everyone's like, that would be cool if that was Peter Parker. And then you know what? Marvel went, yeah. That was Peter Parker. And then we all went, oh, cool, man.
They're trying to make Iron Man 2 cool.
Right. And there's even other cooler fan theories. Like in Predator, Predator 2, they show a xenomorph skull in his thing. And then he went, and people got nuts about that. And Fox went, you know what? You like that? Here's Alien versus Predator. We didn't deliver on it, but we did it. So sometimes fan theories come out to be true, and it's really cool to think about them, and it's really cool to speculate, because as film fans, when the film is over, the only thing we have left to do is to talk about it, dissect it, and get super deep into it, and that's where all these fan theories come from.
Yes, but we're not going to get super deep and into it. Well, you might, but I'm not.
It depends.
Maybe we will. We'll see.
Depends.
It depends.
Like a senior citizen home. Stock up on your depends. All right, Jay, let's get started with you, man. What is your number 5
Okay, my number
fan theory?
5 is Blade Runner 1982.
You've done a man's job, sir. I guess you're through, huh?
Finished.
The fan theory is not only is Deckard a replicant, but he is a replicant implanted with the memories of a former Blade Runner.
So here's the thing.
Detective Gaff.
Blade Runner 2049 didn't even answer that question.
No.
Whether he was a replicant or not. If anything, it gave probably a little bit more evidence towards the fact that he was just straight up human.
Yes. With his interview with Gaff, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. They just didn't get along. They understood that, and they kept away from each other.
Right.
Which you can kind of see.
But I like this theory because it would explain why he is a replicant, and no one would ever know that he's a replicant, and we'll never get an answer to why he's a replicant. Because he's not just a replicant; he's a replicant of a human. He's a replicant with a replication of a human mind.
But it would also make sense why Gaff would not say that.
Right, but
in 2049.
It also makes sense why Gaff is the one that leaves him the unicorn at the end, because if it is a memory or a dream that Deckard is having and he has the mind of Gaff, that means that Gaff also has that dream and then therefore understands that Deckard has that dream, which is why the unicorn would have meaning, and he knows that it would.
And that theory would make a lot more sense if Deckard had one of those things in the old casino when you see him in 2049. You don't see any kind of prop like that whatsoever around other than whiskey.
Right. Well, he's aging Deckard, so like I feel like young Deckard was me, aging Deckard was you. That's why he surrounds himself with whiskey.
Yeah.
Me, I'm conflicted. You realize
you'll probably go on some occasional benders, but you know
your life is
my life is there.
Yeah, it's the difference between hoping to save the city and giving up and saying all is lost and drinking yourself into oblivion. You are Ben Affleck Batman, sir, and I am Christian Bale Batman.
Yep.
All right, Jay, my number 5.
Daily dose of blowfish.
Ferris Bueller is not real.
Hello?
Cameron, babe, what's happening?
Very little.
How do you feel?
Shredded.
That's all in your head. Come on over.
I feel like complete shit, Ferris. I can't go anywhere.
You're not dying, you just can't think of anything good to do.
He is actually a creation of Cameron's imagination. He is the version of Cameron that Cameron wishes he was.
You fucker, that's on my list.
I love this theory because it seems, the movie seems, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off seems so outlandish. First off,
it is.
It is probably my favorite John Hughes film.
I think it's mine too.
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
But Ferris is the embodiment of who we all wish we were in high school. You know, we wish we knew how to have that level of fun. We wish that we knew how to put a day off together like that, cram so much in a day, and, you know, be able to afford, you know, $40 tickets to a game, you know, $100 meal, and also jump on stage and perform in whatever day parade
and still annoy your sister,
right? And still annoy your sister, and you know, we wish we were that smart, clever, handsome, and talented. Like we all wish we were, and that is what the theory comes from: is that Cameron is none of those things. He's the sidekick character, but he wishes he was, and it gets into that Fight Club realm where we were talking. In our drunk scene, where, you know, Tyler Durden is the embodiment of everything that Jack, the narrator, wishes that he was. And I think we all have a version of ourselves that we wish we were. It's probably...
Well, you're my version, Dave.
You're mine. But we are all about 3/4 away from who we think we really are. We're not quite there in our own heads. To other people, we are sad versions of that version that we think we are. And I absolutely love this theory, and it explains a whole lot.
It does.
Especially, you know, like that scene where like he's on the phone and he answers the phone and Cameron's like, I'm sick. It's like, you're not sick. You just can't think of anything else to do. It's almost like a conscience speaking to you. It's almost like, you know, the other side of yourself saying like, you know, get up, asshole, do something with yourself.
The zombie state of mind that Cameron is in a lot of times, especially, you know, well, actually throughout a lot of the picture, and especially during the end when he has to make that.
There are holes in this theory.
Well, yes,
because
there's a lot of holes in this movie, but it's so enjoyable.
Who saves Cameron from drowning if Ferris is not real? Yeah, there's some holes in this theory. But I think what this theory lends credence to is, I would say, less so that Ferris exists in Cameron's mind, and more so that the film is being viewed through Cameron's mind. So maybe the water tower doesn't say save Ferris on it, but in Cameron's mind it does. In Cameron's mind, this was the day that they had, but in reality it was probably much more mundane than this.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's what I think this theory lends credence to. Not that Cameron's crazy and has a split personality, but more so that, you know, he doesn't suffer from multiphasic personality disorder, but that he has he has a twisted sense of of Ferris and what he is.
But also development that he needs as an individual, as a man, as a young man trying to grow up and be, come out of his own shell to not just be the introverted kind of moth on the wall.
Exactly.
He just kind of meanders throughout life and doesn't know how to speak up for himself or anything like that. My number 4 is a lot of fun. I think it might be on your list. Reservoir Dogs.
You're gonna be okay! Say the goddamn words! You're gonna be okay! Oh, God! Say the goddamn fucking words!
Flash Pulp Fiction.
All right, so I have Tarantino on my list, but it might not be this theory. My Tarantino theory encompasses a whole lot of shit, so we'll get into that. But
the bank heist,
okay,
that might take place the same day that Jules and Vincent play out their story in Pulp Fiction.
Okay, explain this theory. No, it's not that.
Okay. Well, I mean, it would explain why the hitmen are able to, drive a blood-soaked car through a busy city without encountering any kind of police trouble. And, the boys in blue are obviously clearly busy trying to find these guys in Reservoir Dogs.
So they take place on the same day, and the reason Jules and Vern get away with everything is because
you don't see any cops
I
in
said
the whole movie.
I said Jules and Vern as if
but you don't see cops really in the movie at all. And so
I said Jules and Vern as if it's like Back to the Future 3. These are my sons, Jules and Vern. Jules and Vincent get away with what they did because the cops are busy catching the bank heisters.
Yeah, and ass raping men. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I like
it. I like it. Yeah, I find it interesting.
My Tarantino theory covers a whole bunch of shit. It's very wide.
Yes, that's a little bit more in depth than mine.
All right, so my number 4, Jay, is that the Joker is a war veteran, possibly special ops, possibly counterintelligence. So he has that line in the film where he says,
"Nobody panics when things go according to plan, even if the plan is horrifying. If tomorrow I tell the press that like a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blown up, nobody panics, because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds."
Like, he has that line, and it seems so, like, delicately placed that, like, he names off 2 or 3 different things that happen that everyone says, yeah, whatever.
Sure.
But someone blows up a truckload of soldiers, and everyone loses their mind. So, like, the theory is that the Joker was a former soldier, and that's why he, and counterintelligence at that, that's why he is so good at setting up these type of plans and stuff, but he also is a victim of a war, and it's also why he has such a hard-on for fucking the establishment, for going against the grain, for being for being an embodiment of anarchy, because a war veteran has, especially one that went through some stuff that he went through, because it could possibly be that the scars on his face are caused by shrapnel, which is why he makes up all the different stories about it. It's a nice theory. I like it. It makes a lot of sense when you look into the Joker's planning and stuff like that, and you wonder, like, well, how did he know this was going to happen? If a lot of things always get solved with, well, he's CIA or former military intelligence.
Right, right.
It makes a lot of sense. However, I don't like the fact that anyone would try to find a backstory for the Joker. Just let him be the Joker.
I agree. That's my one nervous thing about the Joaquin Phoenix movie, because I think I'm not sure if it's is it supposed to be an origin movie? It is supposed to be an origin Joker movie. I don't want it to get too heavy.
Right.
In the backstory, I want to see a little bit more of his development and his tics. And
I like the idea that the Joker just exists, and he only exists now because Batman exists. Like, I like that, you reap your own demons, and Batman has created this demon, whether he wanted to or not. The laws of escalation, which are set forth in Batman Begins, when he says, like,
Batman pulled the curtain away from the inner Joker inside this man.
But not only that, like, he allowed for the fantastic to exist, and he invited the challenge, and a mysterious person who came out of nowhere rose to meet that challenge in a fantastical way. I love the mystery. I never want to know. It's my biggest knock on the 1989 Batman film is that we know that the Joker is Jack Napier, the person who killed, Bruce Wayne's family. I like that Bruce Wayne's family was killed by a no-name, thug, Joseph Chill. He was just he was a symptom of the disease, not the disease itself. Where the Joker is in fact the extreme symptom. Like, he is the cancer of Gotham. He is what Gotham has wrought by supporting Batman. Like, I like that. So the only reason I don't like the theory is because it adds logical explanation to something that doesn't need a logical explanation.
And
something that doesn't.
We don't really want that either.
I don't want that either. But
no.
I like the theory, and I think it's well thought out.
Well, I have a bittersweet theory. Forrest Gump.
This is my very good friend, Mr. Gump. Here, can you say hi to him?
Hello, Mr. Gump.
Hello? You're a mama, Jenny.
I'm a mama. His name's Forrest.
Like me.
I named him after his daddy.
He got a daddy named Forrest, too?
You're his daddy, Forrest.
That Jenny's son, who is presented to Forrest as his own offspring at the movie's conclusion, isn't really his son at all.
So I always wondered about Forrest Gump, because even when I was a kid and I watched this movie and we find out that Jenny has AIDS, in my mind I went, okay, so Forrest and Forrest Jr. both have AIDS. Right? Like, they both have AIDS. That's the bittersweet ending,
Wow.
Jay, is that both of them are going to die of AIDS together, father and son. Sorry to say. At least that's what I took from it, because we don't know when Jenny contracted HIV. Probably.
I guess that feather's gonna have to keep on flying, flying around in the air.
Can we do Forrest Gump 2? And it's Haley Joel Osment, and he's taking his rounds of medication to stave off the HIV virus, and eventually Forrest has to die, and then he goes through everything that happened to him between the 90s and 2020.
Yeah,
Can we do that?
I actually weirdly like it though, because it just fits into that bittersweet story narrative of this film altogether. Anyway,
it does. So what's the theory though? That she slept with so many men that
it's not his son.
Well, it wouldn't be. I mean, honestly, like when I watched the movie,
they did have sex.
I never thought that it was his son. I never thought.
Everybody else would imply that, because that's the last time you see her get down with anybody is Forrest. And then all of a sudden,
but Jay,
boom,
she had sex with him in the 1970s, and this is the 1990s.
Look, I'm just saying, the movie portrays it to be Forrest's.
No, the movie portrays
but
it.
When you think about it,
I never
it's
thought.
Not. Oh, I did.
I never thought that was his son.
Well,
in my mind.
I mean, first of all, I was a kid and I grew up with this movie, so
Nookie
I was naive in that aspect.
Nookie equals babies. No, in my mind, even when I was younger watching this movie, I never thought that this child was Forrest's.
Oh, I
always
did.
thought she named
did.
the child after the only person she's ever truly loved, because she never loved her family. She never loved any man that she was really with. The only constant in her life, the only person who was only ever there for her was Forrest. She named her child after him, and the only reason that she told Forrest that he was that he was the father was because she knew that despite Forrest's shortcomings in
he would be the best father for her child.
He would be a good person to her son the same way he was for her.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I always thought that it was never her child.
And you know,
maybe I'm just a terrible person. Maybe I only see the macabre. I never see the light.
I'm impressed, but I actually never got that until I saw this, and I really, really loved it, and I thought it was really spot on, and I thought it was really poignant, and I enjoyed it.
All right, Jay, my number 3. The Shining is an apology from Stanley Kubrick. He's apologizing for his hand in faking the Apollo 11 moon landings.
Hello, Danny. Come and play with us.
Though historically, conspiracy theorists will always say that the moon landing was faked, and if the moon landing was faked, that means there has to be a director. If someone directed the film, who better than the phenom director who made 2001: A Space Odyssey, who made people feel like they were actually in space when they weren't? Stanley Kubrick was the one who faked the moon landing. So a lot of people have this theory that he is the auteur who faked the moon landing, and that The Shining is the apology for it. And if you watch the documentary Room 237, there is some credence to this in little set design things. So the carpet on the floor, like that the design that Danny is constantly running over with his big wheel, if you actually freeze it and you look at the design that's on it, it looks a lot like the Apollo launch pads. It just looks like a 70s design to me. I don't know about all that, but
That's pretty wild though.
There's constant references to Apollo 11 throughout it, and even Danny's sweater is Apollo 11 at certain points. He's wearing a sweater that says Apollo 11 with a rocket ship on it and stuff like that. So that's a big conspiracy theorist one, and also movie theory all rolled into one. If you haven't watched a documentary, Room 237, definitely watch it if you're a Stanley Kubrick and especially a Shining fan. It's worth your time, and I found it extremely interesting because they get into a bunch of other theories about Stanley Kubrick and The Shining and a lot of other things as well. It is fantastic. But I always like this because I don't know whether the moon landing was real or not. I just know that the entire world thinks it was real and that America got there first, and I'm okay with that. Because America, fuck yeah. Jay, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Ferris Bueller's. So we already discussed that a little bit. It's definitely one of those things where I really enjoyed the movie so thoroughly, but in hindsight realizing and kind of relating to like the depressive state of mind that Cameron's in, and just really wanting and kind of living through vicariously through Ferris's joyous life in this one great day. And I just kind of enjoyed the theory, even though there is a ton of holes and it doesn't thoroughly make sense when you really reflect back upon the movie. And it's such an endearing movie, and it's definitely one of my favorite John Hughes films.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I put it at number 5, because it's a theory that, while fun, could probably never be true.
Yeah. And honestly, my order is a little bit slapped together. It's probably not entirely accurate as far as rankings, but I think they're all very interesting, and I really do enjoy my list.
Sure. So, Jay, my number 2 is that the Tarantino films all take place in the same universe. Some of those movies take place in the same universe. Other ones are movies that exist within his movie universe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to do that. Please, continue. You were saying something about best intentions? What's the matter? Oh, you were finished. Oh, well, allow me to retort.
So, where Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs exist in his movie universe, other ones like The Inglourious Bastards and From Dusk Till Dawn and Kill Bill all are films that exist in his movie universe. And there are some credence to this. Sergeant Donnie Donowitz, who was in The Inglourious Bastards, one of the theories is that the Donowitz producer that is in some of his other films produced the film Inglourious Bastards, who kind of glorifies his grandfather, or great-grandfather, who was Donnie Donowitz in The Inglourious Bastards. There are other things that, like in Django Unchained, their last name is Von Shaft. It's like a prequel to Shaft. And so it's another movie that exists in this Tarantino universe. It gets pretty deep. You can actually find some of these fan theories online. You can actually do a Google image search, and you'll see one of those line graphs that kind of connects all the different little things together. And I find find it very interesting because it kind of ties into your theory where it's like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction take place on the same day.
Yes.
And they're in the same universe and you can also say like Jackie Brown's probably in that universe. But other films, such different things happen, right? But also, if Hitler died in a movie theater, wouldn't everyone, if that took place in the actual universe that exists in Tarantino's films, if Hitler actually died in a movie theater, wouldn't that explain why all of Tarantino's characters are so pop culture savvy? Why like the world would have like kind of like this obsession with pop culture because it's pop culture that really ended Adolf Hitler in the end. Like there's so many cool like little twists to it. It's honestly such a deep theory that I can't even get into how deep the theory goes here.
And what's fun about it is Quentin Tarantino is a fan, a huge fan of film.
What's fun is when
loves theories and loves this kind of shit.
When people ask him about this stuff, he goes, "Yeah, sure, yeah, why not? Yeah, whatever you want, yeah." You know, like,
make it your own. Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. You know, just if you think that, then yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think you can really do that.
Yeah, like he's like such an eccentric guy, and I love him. So
when you were doing that, I actually got Martin Scorsese too.
Very similar guys.
Very similar. And guess what? They're both uber film fanatics.
Right.
Like they're apparently the two directors that probably are the most.
Look, my next film is going to be me filming Uma Thurman's feet for about 3 hours. There's going to be at least 10 cum shots on it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I really love her feet.
You're not going to see the fingers, but it's going to be my fingers tickling them.
So I really do love that theory. It's a really fun one, and it has such depth that you can literally watch every Tarantino film and kind of connect it to another one in some way, and I love that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't have that time. But
Jay, what's your number one?
Well, I don't mention Bond enough, but James Bond isn't a man, but rather a code name. Oh, I went out with a whimper there, Dave. There we go. All right. But it's rather a code name passed on from one MI6 agent after another over the years.
Hello, Pusher.
And it would explain why there's so many different variations of Bond and the behavior.
This was
having
actually
M play a central role continuing throughout.
This was one that was actually put to rest, though. They kind of said that, no, that's not the case.
Of course not, but I kind of like it.
The studio shut this one down.
But again, like I said earlier, this isn't really my number one. But it's ranked my number one for
really
some
cool
other reason. But I do enjoy it because I love the franchise and I love Bond.
Didn't Skyfall destroy this because like he goes to the Bond house?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was Skyfall that was like,
yeah,
fuck you, internet nerds. Like fucking.
It was by far his most personal character arc film.
Why haven't they remade Octopussy? I would love Daniel Craig to just
because
walk
in this
up.
day and age, we still can't use the word pussy in a title.
I would love Daniel Craig to walk up and go, "Hello, Pushy." You know, just that with that smooth swap. Hello, Pushy.
Well, hopefully, it happens in his last movie.
Jay, honorable mention one that I have does involve Sean Connery, and it is that his character in The Rock is James Bond.
Love it.
I love that theory.
Yeah, it makes definitely an honorable mention for mine too.
Yeah, you know, it makes sense with you know the way that he knows everything that he knows and the way that he gets out and stuff. It makes sense that he would be former MI6. You know, I would love for that one to be true. I would love for Michael Bay to be like, you know what? I wanted to make a Bond movie, but I couldn't. So I made Sean Connery's character in The Rock to be Bond. But I just couldn't name him that because it wasn't made by MGM.
One of mine was Alfred is actually Bruce Wayne's real father.
I hate that one.
It's just dumb.
I hate that one.
But it made for a second there I liked it.
In the Nolan,
for literally a second I was like,
in the Nolan universe,
like, no, it's just
the Nolan universe, I would go with that. But as far as like a Batman character as a whole, in the comics and everything else,
no. I don't like it as a whole as their standalone characters. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't like it as the story for Batman or for Alfred. But when I first came across it, I was like, and I kind of like sort of liked it, but I was like, oh, that's just retarded though. That doesn't make any sense.
Losers talk about doing
that's why it's on the honorable mention list.
Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
All right, Jay, my number one.
Mr. called Jar Jar Binks. Mr. Your humble servant.
That won't be necessary.
Oh, but it is. 'Tis demanded by the gods, it is.
This is one that I'm sure listeners of this show and for my Podfix Presents show, A Certain Point of View, are all very aware of. It is Darth Jar Jar. That Jar Jar Binks from episodes 1, 2, and 3 is actually the secret Sith Lord the entire time. I love this theory. I love it. There are so many YouTube videos on how this is the truth. And like even at a point when a Reddit user had posted that they believe that that Jar Jar Binks was meant to be the secret Sith Lord, but never came to fruition because of how much fans hated Jar Jar Binks and his roles got reduced. Ahmed Best, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, said, I'm thankful that somebody, saw this and got that from the performance. That doesn't mean that it's admission that it's true, but it just means that somebody looked at his performance and gave it some weight. But what I love about this is how great would it have been if this character that you despised all through episode 1 as this bumbling, stupid character who you felt was destroying your franchise. In the second one, they start planting seeds that he's the bad guy. And by the third one, the full revelation comes out that he is the one behind it all. Emperor Palpatine's marching to his tune. And that they're like, the YouTube videos are like, it shows Jar Jar's mouth moving behind someone's ear as they're saying something, and it looks like the lips match up, like he's kind of Sith mind controlling people. There's times where he's doing things that we don't see other Gungans able to do, and it almost seems like he's using the Force a lot. So like his dumb luck is kind of like a Legend of Drunken Master type of drunk luck, where it's actually a form of Sith Kung Fu. It sounds so ridiculous, but I swear to God, there are so many good videos about this. I'll have to post one of them in the description for you guys to check out, because like I honestly like watching this stuff. I was like, I kind of wish we could go back and do a Star Wars trilogy where Jar Jar Binks turns out to be the Sith Lord the entire time. Could you imagine the final fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jar Jar?
No, I can't. Just can't.
You submit in your end, Mr. Kenobi. You're an agent of evil, Darth Jar Jar.
All you, brother.
Jay, that's why these are fan theories that we wish were true. Not that they are. So, if you... Mr. got bummed by Sith powers. Mr. bummed by Jedi. Oh, shit. Oh. Could you just imagine that movie, Jay? Could you imagine how much better the Star Wars universe would be for this? If this existed, that would be the best thing ever. I would love it.
Yeah, I know you would. I can't wait to hear what Twitter has to say about our theories.
This would blow Empire Strikes Back out of the water. Hey, every fan complaining and coming up with fan theories about fucking the Knights of Ren would be like, it'd be super cool. Is if that Jar Jar was the secret Sith Lord. All right.
Oh God.
So if you guys have any fan theories that are about movies that are interesting to you and you wish were true, please reach out to us on Twitter at Super Movie Pod. You can also reach out to Jay on Facebook, Super Movie Bros Podcast on there. You can also check out the 2 beers that we reviewed tonight over on our Instagram. That is at Super Movie Bros Beer. So make sure you head over to www.podfixnetwork.com and check out all the great shows that are part of the Podfix Network. You can also check out our good friend Sean over at the WDIM podcast, What Does It Matter podcast, on any podcatchers. You can check out our sponsor, Blowfish, at www.4hangovers.com and use our promo code SMBFish for your 15% off. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Have a great night, and cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know why I lost it so much at Darth Jar Jar. It's just such a hilarious premise. It's so funny.